Most people think a bigger paycheck will fix their money problems, and sometimes it helps. But I'm sure you've seen it. Two people can make the exact same income, live in the same city, maybe even work at the same company, and by the time they're 40, they are in completely different financial worlds. One is building wealth, feeling secure. The other is stressed, living paycheck to paycheck. The difference usually isn't one giant mistake. It's not a single bad investment or a disastrous career move. It's a series of tiny, almost invisible decisions. Decisions that feel too small to matter in the moment, until one day they matter more than anything. Today, we're going to look at 13 of them. Let's start with number 1, your default grocery store. I'm not talking about the specialty shop you visit once a month for something fancy. I mean the one you go to automatically, week after week. Your default store sets your spending baseline. Just switching your main weekly shop to a more budget-friendly option can save you hundreds, even thousands a year without changing a single thing you actually eat. Number 2, the timing of your auto transfer to savings. If your plan for saving money is to just see whatever's left at the end of the month, you don't have a system. You have wishful thinking with a bank account. People who build wealth consistently do it differently. They move money into savings or investments right after payday. They pay themselves first, before life, before boredom, before the food delivery apps can get a vote. When the money leaves your main account first, you naturally adjust your spending around what's left. If it stays, it gets a job before you do, and that job is usually disappearing. Number 3, how often you eat at home during the week. And I don't mean big occasions, not birthdays, not date nights. I'm talking about the forgettable meals, the Tuesday lunch you grab from the cafe downstairs, the Thursday dinner you order because you're tired, the meals you barely enjoy and will never remember. Those are the real money leaks. A $15 weekday lunch doesn't feel expensive until it becomes a habit. Do that 3 times a week and you've quietly spent over $2,000 a year on sad sandwiches eaten at your desk while you answer emails you hate. Cutting just a few of those makes a massive difference. Number 4 is your upgrade timing. Think about the last time you upgraded your phone, your laptop, or your car. Was it because the old one completely stopped working, or was it because a shiny new one existed and your current one suddenly looked like it belonged in a museum? So many of our upgrades happen in that gray area, the space between broken and boring. That's where novelty pretends to be a necessity. One of the most profitable sentences in personal finance is simple: mine still works. Number 5, what happens when you're tired? A lot of our worst spending doesn't happen when we're focused and clear-headed. It happens when we're exhausted. At 10:43 p.m., your brain is not trying to build multi-generational wealth. It wants convenience, it wants comfort, and it wants a little reward for surviving the day. That's when you order the $30 tacos. That's when you impulse buy things from an Instagram ad. Protecting your tired hours is a financial strategy. Make food easy to grab. Remove the shopping apps from your phone's home screen. Just put a little bit of friction between your exhausted self and your credit card. Now, the next 2 are especially dangerous because they barely even feel like you're spending money while they're happening. Number 6 is late-night browsing. Sometimes you're not even shopping, you're just looking, which is how modern adults end up emotionally attached to a floor lamp they did not know existed 8 minutes ago. Every scroll, every click adds something to your mental wish list. You might not buy it tonight, but the seed has been planted. The idea is in your head. That's the trap. Random browsing creates future spending before you ever reach a checkout page. Which brings us to number 7, whether you use a wish list or just buy on impulse. This is a tiny habit with a huge upside. When you feel that urge to buy something, don't. Not yet. Just put it on a list and wait 48 hours. That's it. No dramatic self-denial, just a little pause. You will be amazed at how often something that feels absolutely essential on a Tuesday night looks completely optional, even ridiculous by Thursday morning. The goal isn't to never buy nice things. It's to stop letting a temporary emotion spend your permanent money. Number 8 are your fixed expenses. These are the choices you make once and then keep paying for forever. Subscriptions, insurance plans, cell phone bills, gym memberships. They're like quiet little charges sitting in the background, like financial wallpaper. None of them seem dramatic on their own, which is exactly why they're so dangerous. Go through them once or twice a year and ask one simple question for each one. Would I sign up for this again today? If the answer is no, cancel it. It's not about painful budgeting, it's about finding money that was hiding in plain sight. Number 9 is how you treat small treats. And this is where I disagree with a lot of the loudest personal finance advice online. Small treats are not the enemy. A coffee that you genuinely, truly enjoy? That's fine. A paperback? Great. A candle that makes your apartment feel less like a cave where you pay taxes? Go for it. Money is a tool to support your life. The problem isn't intentional treats, it's unconscious treats, stress treats, the "I had a bad day, so now I somehow own 3 new things" treats. A treat you choose on purpose is one thing. A treat on autopilot is a leak in your financial boat. Number 10, what happens during your commute or your idle time? People used to be bored, and honestly, boredom was financially underrated. Boredom doesn't buy things. Now, every spare moment gets filled with a screen, and that screen is almost always trying to sell you something, either directly or indirectly. Products, lifestyles, upgrades, little reminders that your entire life could apparently be fixed by a $90 water bottle. Idle time used to be financially neutral. Now it's been monetized against you. Reclaiming even a little bit of that disconnected time can dramatically lower how often you feel tempted in the first place. Now, let's get into the deeper ones, the decisions that shape what normal even means to you. Number 11, who you talk about money with. Your spending habits are profoundly shaped by your environment. If everyone in your social circle is constantly upgrading their cars, eating out 5 nights a week, and treating overspending like a basic part of adulthood, that starts to feel normal, not because you're weak, but because normal is contagious. Having even one person you can talk honestly with about your money goals, someone who doesn't treat saving like a personality flaw, can be a game changer. Number 12, how you handle financial wins. A bonus is coming, a tax refund is on the way, a raise feels likely, and what happens? Your brain immediately starts spending money that does not exist yet. This is how people upgrade their lifestyle before the cash even lands. Then reality shows up, with taxes or delays or smaller numbers than you expected. A simple rule helps a lot. Money is not real until it is in your account. Not pending, not expected, in your account. And finally, number 13. This might be the most important one of all. How you define enough. Because if you never define what enough is, the target will just keep moving for the rest of your life. A better apartment becomes a bigger house. A reliable car becomes a nicer car. A good vacation becomes a more impressive, Instagram-worthy one. Without a definition of enough, every raise just creates a new, more expensive baseline, and that feeling of financial security never ever arrives. But people who feel truly grounded with their money, they usually know what enough looks like for them. Enough house, enough car, enough stuff, enough chasing, just enough. And that's what ties all of these 13 points together. None of them require a higher salary. Sure, more income can help, but if you've been waiting for a bigger paycheck to finally make you feel in control, there's a good chance the real problem has been hiding in your defaults all along. Personal finance is often less about dramatic, iron-willed discipline and more about what happens automatically when you're not paying close attention. So the goal isn't to become a perfect robotic money manager. The goal is just to make the smart decisions a little easier and the expensive mistakes a little harder. Out of these 13, I guarantee 1 or 2 of them felt a little too familiar. Pick one of those. Start there.